Let's see who Jamie has in store for us today on So You Wanna Start a Business?
And welcome back, everybody, and thanks for joining in on another episode of So You Want to Start a Business. Today's episode is about ads, marketing, and a lot of that stuff that we haven't really hit on. And today's guest is Dmitri Smirnov. Thanks for joining us, Dmitri.
Hey, glad to be here. Thank you for having me, Jamie. Looking forward to it.
Good. Go ahead and kind of introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about, where you've come from, your background, and how you've gotten to where you are today, and as well as a little bit about your business.
Well, I grew up always thinking that I was going to be a mathematician of some kind, or maybe an economist. But turns out that I don't like waking up early, and that really limited my career opportunities. When I stumbled my way into marketing, and online ads, it turns out that job can be done at any time of the day or night. And it was just the perfect combination of math and creativity that sparked an enthusiasm in me like I'd never had before. And I played games like poker, I was into sports, but this specific career path, marketing, advertising, is just perfect for my personality. And now I run this company called Big Life Marketing, which is about using advertisements, specifically Google and YouTube ads, to grow your impact as both a person and through your business, whether it's a local business, nationwide business, or international. Ads work for everything.
Great. And so, how much of an influence did your family and in your own hometown make on your decision to become a business owner and entrepreneur?
I do not come from a family of entrepreneurs. In fact, I don't know of anyone really in my entire family friend group who had a business in their youth, let's say, in their 20s or 30s. Nowadays, they've opened some now into their 50s and 60s, and a lot of my family friends come from other countries and they're living out their American dreams that way. But when I was growing up, it was all about a stable and elite, let's say, put it that way, type of job, like working at an investment bank or a hedge fund or an insurance company. That was always the goal. And working long hours, that was the goal. And so I would say they really didn't influence me very much to become a business owner. I kind of stumbled my way into it. Fortunately, I love being a business owner. It's more fun to do the same work that you would otherwise might do. Now, there's a lot extra to it that non-business owners don't know about, but business owners do know what I'm talking about. Like, there's a lot more to it than just that one job that kind of describes the business that you run. But it's at least all yours, and you get to make all the decisions. How fun is that? It's like the coolest game we can play.
Yeah, for me, I'm originally from Kentucky, so I came from a family of farmers a lot, uh, and used to a family that's used to just waking up, going out and working. Except my dad worked in a factory as well, uh, to where it didn't really have that influence other than the idea of I don't necessarily want to work that hard. Yeah, the idea of being able to make my own dream, I guess you could say, rather than build somebody else's dream for them. So, and like you say,
And
the
you know
hours are
what?
good too.
And entrepreneurs I found on average are in more inherently lazy than your typical maybe blue collar worker or farmer like you mentioned. Well, the farming there's just no way around hard
Hmm.
work from sun up to sundown. And to that point, it's kind of funny that a lot of people in my field who did become business owners became somewhat successful in the internet space wanted to then go back to their roots or back to the land and homestead, and quickly
Mhm.
found out that it was way more work than they were ready to put in, and so they got out of it. But we all have roots to the land somehow, but I think many of us are too lazy to actually go and do that farming.
And on that note, it's one of those things of if you do your business properly, it's okay to be lazy in that you build it so that it kind of works on its own as a true business compared to as I would say a lot of people if they're a baker and start their business as a bakery and they don't know how to run the business in the back end and just do all the work themselves. So
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot to running a business, and especially in the team that you put around yourself and the expectations that you set. I think the biggest problem that new business entrepreneurs, business owners start to face is trying to replace themselves, not
absolutely.
realizing that nobody can replace them. No, not one person can replace you. So the biggest mistake that you see is somebody hiring, hey, a general manager of some sort or a director. You're gonna start doing everything I'm doing. Well, it's never gonna happen. Start breaking down your business into specific roles and tasks and start filling one person per task.
And I think that on the other end of that spectrum are people that are it's hard to trust somebody else with their little baby, so they try to do it all themselves because they don't want to hire somebody else or the idea of giving those types of tasks to somebody else because they think that they can do them better and with that.
Absolutely, yeah. Agree
So are
with
you a
that.
serial entrepreneur? Do you have multiple businesses or do you just primarily run your current business?
I kind of get the best of both worlds because I get to run my business as a marketing agency, and then through our clients, we get to have our hands in so many other different businesses. I don't need to start my own businesses because I'm already, as a company, working in so many
Mhm.
various interesting directions. So it's just and you know what? I'm always tempted to be the serial entrepreneur and tempted to open up a new business. There's this problem I want to solve it so badly, and what if I just opened a business? It could be successful, and I keep having to dial that back and rein it back because just focusing on the
Mhm.
one thing, the agency, that's what I want to do right now.
And I totally get that because with my business called Business Lifeline Services, and one of the things with that is I have multiple things that I can offer, but you got to get good at one and then kind of offer the next one is one of the things that I've kind of learned getting started with SEO, the idea of being able to take that path and then also do the marketing side of things where I offer those. So it's definitely one of those things of if you don't kind of build your plan, then you kind of get overwhelmed with, okay, this and which one do I do now and stuff like that. Instead of kind of building that plan and then being able to go to a client and be able to properly uh, describe your business with them instead of kind of throwing everything at them at once as well. I don't know if do you ever have that experience as far as kind of making sure that you take baby steps in being able to explain and target what your customer is looking for compared to just more or less saying, I can do this and this and this and this. Now, which ones do you want?
It's we as consumers are weary of a solution or a potential offer that solves or so-called solves all our business, all our problems. It claims that we can do it all. That already is coming from a place of I don't necessarily believe that's fully true. So totally, if even if we can do several things, which we can do in our agency, but we start with one particular problem that we want to solve, and then maybe 3 months later, hey, we solved this. We have already a really great case study already. It's already proven to work. You already trust us now. So here's the second thing that we can throw in here. And then the third thing and the fourth thing and so forth. Now you don't need four things. You could have just one and be the best at that one thing for that specific audience, and grow your business just that way. You don't, and here's the other thing is every business shouldn't grow by accident, really. Like, yeah, for example, you may offer SEO services and somebody asked, well, can you also do our Facebook ads, please? And like, yeah, I guess I could. But the problem is, and here's the big problem, it's going to distract you from your core service and really growing that and building it out, building a reputation. So it's just not worth it long term. And we as business owners need to stop falling into that trap of a little bit extra revenue that I can pick off right now, but you're giving up so much more future revenue of being that expert in your field, in your niche.
Good point. So now I want to kind of go through our lightning round. And the lightning round is pretty much just some quick hit questions that I kind of touch up base on with each person, or to kind of as a baseline of what the different experiences and the ways to do business are. So with
Let's
that,
do
how
it.
old were you whenever you started your business?
I was 29 when I started Big Life Marketing.
And did you have a mentor that helped you when you got started, or did you learn it on your own?
I did have a mentor. First, the mentor I had when I was working at a previous agency as an employee. The two owners of that company were my mentors. And then when I went off on my own, I had a network of mentors that I got through by becoming a member of a mastermind, which I highly recommend to your
Hmm.
audience. Is just masterminds are amazing sources of wisdom in business.
And what was your biggest hurdle or doubt going into business with your first business?
It's probably a common doubt of, is this going to work? Am I going to be able to do this? Really? Are people going to pay me money? So I think mentally, the mental aspect of the confidence is the biggest hurdle.
Right. And how long did it take you to become profitable?
We were profitable within the first few months, and then we had an opportunity to do some live speaking things before COVID hit, and were able to sign some big clients, and so it was a pretty fast process for us, fortunately.
And what was the first way that you marketed your own business?
Yeah, those speaking events, really, getting in person with people, to speaking face to face, whether one to one or one to many. We also got a lot of clients where I was just having a one-on-one conversation with a business owner, and realizing, not even from a sales perspective, realizing that my skill set perfectly aligns with their needs. And the business owner the same way, like, wow, that's a perfect fit. So these actual in-person or Zoom, by the way, but these one-on-one conversations are really great ways to find customers.
And how long did it? Uh, how long did you do your own bookkeeping and taxes before you hired somebody else to do it for you, or have you?
Mm, No, we do have in-house bookkeeping
Okay.
and somebody with taxes. However, because I am a math guy, let's say, I still like playing around with the numbers myself. So all the tax returns, it's not like I just send them in and
Hmm.
then sign them. I'm going through them. I'm seeing how it could be optimized. And you would want your CPA to be doing that, but and mine does, but um, it's still something I have my hands in. And then as far as with the company too, even with our invoicing, I want to make sure it's accurate, streamlined, and I'm still giving it some attention myself too.
How long did you do that on your own beginning, or did you actually hire somebody,
Oh
bring
no, at
somebody
the
on?
beginning, I was doing it all on my own. I was doing the entire thing on my everything from A to Z was
Hmm.
me. And by the way, it's not that hard. It's just everything can be learned on YouTube within 20 minutes.
Hmm.
How to send an invoice, how to create an invoice, how to use credit card processing, how to invoice through bank ACH. I mean, it's that it's learnable.
Mhm.
It's quite frankly, it's not that hard. And then once you do build momentum, you get clients. Now you start putting people in place on your team to take care of that for you. But you know what actually needs to be done so that bad actors can't steal from you because you
Right.
actually know, you know, like you hear about these athletes where their account stole $10 million. How'd that happen? Because they were never involved in it. So being
Right.
involved at the beginning is a good thing.
And what kind of software do you use for your bookkeeping right now, as far as keeping uh, your ins and outs?
QuickBooks and Stripe. We use Square, kind of the
Just for
basic standard ones nowadays. Oh,
And what do you use for your taxes?
I don't use software for the taxes. It's just done through the
Just making
bookkeeping company that we hire.
Great. So now we get on to the good stuff. Let's get into the more of the deep dive, digging into the topics that we want to hear about. Uh, so the topic right down my alley, and like I said, we also offer ads with my business, so it works. Uh, Always great to hear another marketer and stuff kind of give their side of what um, doing ads for a business kind of entails. So let's start talking about a small business in a small town that doesn't have a large population. What would you suggest is the first way for a business like that to build their marketing strategy, or at least build their strategy at that?
Well, even in a small town, everything still at this point in our society lives online.
Mhm.
You know, other than somebody driving by your brick and mortar store, they're going to find you on Google Maps or on Yelp or through a Google search or a Facebook ad or organic content for that matter. So, what I always recommend for most businesses is to especially local businesses is to really start building that organic following through your social media. It's pretty
Mhm.
much free, and all you have to do is document what you already do. You don't need to hire a media team. You just put a camera or your iPhone in front of whatever it is that you do and record it. Put it in on YouTube, put it on Instagram, and people in your town are going to start seeing it because geotagged, located. You're going to start building an organic following. As soon as you can put an offer out to them, do it. Because some people might take you up on that offer online. And so now you're building up this momentum, and all of a sudden maybe it makes sense for me to do some paid advertisement. You could
Mhm.
do local ads depending on the business that you have, but Google search, you can be in Google Maps if you need people to come into the store with you. I mean, so that the process is pretty seamless once you get it started. So the most important thing to do is just to start documenting what you do and posting it online.
Absolutely. And for me, and I think that hearing from a lot of small business owners that like the brick and mortar that first come into a small town, especially a small town, they seem to do. It seems like the kind of path, it seems, is word of mouth, and then maybe contacting your um, chamber of commerce, you know, local newspaper. But again, like you said, those seem to newspapers aren't as big, but they are in a small town a lot of times, especially depending on your demographic that you're hitting. I think that, like you said, if it's somebody that's kind of newer to technology, absolutely the next thing is hit the internet. But like if you're hitting senior citizens and stuff like that that aren't necessarily, I think those are like the only uh, subscribers to newspapers. It seems like anymore as far as hitting that. Uh, the next one of the topics that oh, go ahead.
Yeah, just to that point is you first have to determine where your existing customers are coming from. If they aren't coming from online, for sure, they're
Hmm.
coming from a newspaper ad that's already working, then see if you can do more of that and bring more customers in through the newspaper or what's similar to the newspaper. Maybe there's some senior citizen magazines that go around.
Hmm.
Maybe you can hire somebody to go to senior citizen uh, live-in centers and talk to people directly or a group and make it a presentation. So there's more to marketing than just putting
Hmm.
ads up online, and it's important to understand your audience first, create a plan, rather than just throwing darts at the wall.
And I do like your, as you kind of described, and I always talk about, especially in a small town, community involvement. The idea of, I always say that the best advertisement for anybody is to see whether it's just signs on the little league wall, outfield wall, or something like that, uh, in conjunction with, like you were saying, to do the online thing and kind of record that, to be able to record that, put that on there to kind of hit both sides, so that you get your word of mouth, you get your print advertisement out there, and kind of build your name. That seems to be the first steps to me, especially in a small town, explaining that your brand is your give how you serve the community.
Mhm.
If they don't see how what good you are to the community, then they're going to go to somebody that kind of gives back to that. Or at least, do you agree with that?
I think that building your brand and promoting yourself in the community, showing the people that you are a staple and that you are important does make a big difference. And the analogy I'll say is mom and pop type of shops versus Walmart.
Hmm.
Had the mom and pop shops done a better job of describing to everybody what their value is, even though their prices are higher, they could have potentially been saved. They could have been convinced to continue to shop there.
Hmm.
Whereas they didn't do that work. They weren't posting billboards, let's say, on the local baseball fields and whatever else. And so people just went to the cheaper option. I
Hmm.
don't recommend using price as your differentiator. In fact, you should actually be typically on the higher side in terms of pricing, whatever it is that you're selling, especially in services. As long as you make the effort into building your brand as the trusted and local stalwart that you are, it'll be good for you. It'll be good for them because not only are you making more money, but you have more space to provide better service that way to your community.
Right, and absolutely. And I was the idea of making sure that people know that you're around. You can't. I think that, like, I just this morning was coming in, and there's a restaurant that seems to, uh, in my town, that ends up going through multiple owners. Used to, it was really popular, and they changed owners. People hear that they changed owners, and they see the same building with the same name or something like that, and they don't even know that somebody's there without doing some type of marketing and putting that out there. Word of mouth is the only thing you have, I guess you could say. With that,
And word of mouth is important, but but the initial word has to start somewhere, and advertising is a good way of doing it. And by the way, advertising gets a bad reputation because we've been burnt before by various scams or something that didn't work out or something that's interrupting our programming. We don't like commercials during our TV show. It's annoying. Unless we're watching the Super Bowl, in which case we all like to watch the commercials too. But that's the only time in the whole year we all become marketers. But my point being that advertising doesn't have to be a bad thing. If you're actually providing a solution to a problem that somebody has, they'd be happy to look at your ad.
my next big topic is websites. How much do you recommend somebody prior to? Because there's different ways to run ads, but for me, I like the idea of you got to have something usually in my opinion, to kind of drive that to for them to get more information about you, especially if it's a quick ad or something like that. Um, and there's a whole lot of people that depend on Facebook business pages. What is your opinion as far as have I know my opinion and I've kind of said it on here some. What's your opinion as far as using a Facebook page compared to also making sure that you have a website?
I think that you can make it work with just a Facebook page, but it's only going to help you if you have a website. And more often than not, it'll help you more than you expect. I mean, websites are pretty much uh, generally required by consumers. If you don't have a website, you're not trusted. I mean, it's 2023. You got to have a website.
Mhm.
And even if you're pushing traffic to a Facebook page and it's building that Facebook community through a group or a page, that's all fine. But still, having a Facebook, I mean, a website, there's other places where people are finding you, and then, okay, what's their website? How do I get more information
Mhm.
about them where they don't know about your Facebook page? And by the way, nowadays, websites can be created within 15 minutes from scratch, the way that you want them to look. It used to be drag and drop, which was already easy, but now there's so many different templates. You just pick your colors, you pick your fonts, and the website just creates itself for you.
Mm.
So you can't not have a website at this point.
That and it's hard for me to explain to some people because they're like, well, and that seems to be the biggest thing that I see small restaurants doing that come into small towns, that they just put some pictures on Facebook page or something like that, and they depend on that, but and they don't have a website. So my opinion at that point, and what I kind of say, and you can tell me if you agree or not. To me, Facebook pages are a way that you can put information on there, but you're represented by Facebook, as in you're kind of tied into the way they display the information that you're allowed to put on there. A website is a way for you to kind of display yourself, of the type of business that you are, and especially like you say, the adding the legitimacy of your business.
Yeah.
That hey, I am a professional business. Here are the things that I have, and especially like for a restaurant, the idea of taking pictures of your food and a description of what that food is, and being able to display that, because a lot of people don't want to waste their time on a smaller place if they don't have an idea of what they're walking into.
Right. And I mean, Facebook owns that page. It controls what you can post on there, and it really owns your audience. So in case the Facebook page goes down for whatever reason, which does happen on Facebook, you lose the audience that you built, and nobody can find you because you don't have a website. With a website, you are your own boss. You get to decide what goes on there, what people will see, and you're confident that there won't be an issue with people not seeing your updates because it's only on Facebook. Um, and here's the one other thing that a website does for you is an ability to collect leads that you can then follow up through email, text message, phone calls. Even if you are a restaurant, you should be collecting leads. And here's why. You can have an offer, for example, it's called a lead magnet. So typically something that's cheap for you to sell, maybe an appetizer or soup. You say, come in or fill out this lead form and get a free appetizer next time you dine with us. And people, okay, yeah, I'm going to take you up on that. Now you have their email email address and phone number where you can continue to have a conversation with them. Hey, you guys, we're having a new special plate that's only this weekend. Come on in. Wow, you just got a whole weekend rush of people who would have never thought to come in. They would have never thought about it, but you sent them an email like, this is perfect. This is exactly what I need. And you can double the amount of customers you have just by collecting leads like that.
Yeah, and that's the first thing that I learned whenever I first started my business was the idea. Uh, I kind of hit on affiliate marketing first, and that's of course that's the biggest part of the idea of having your own list, of being able to communicate with your customers. Uh, Big specials coming on, ideas of, like you said, if you're changing your menu around and that you want them to try something else, the new thing, to be able to communicate with them, to let them know what's going on that they might not. And
You can also,
there's a lot of places that I've seen that email marketing is the large contingency and the most effective way to communicate with your current customers so that they repeat as customers.
right, and most of the money made from a customer is from them coming back.
Hmm.
It's really hard to make money when customers only visit you one time.
Hmm.
In fact, you probably won't make money that way. But what you can do with email is not only have them come back, but start seeding what actions you want those customers to take. For example, if you know that in a restaurant business, typically alcohol is a high margin add-on, that you want your tables to get the bottles of wine, or the drinks with the top shelf whiskey, whatever it is. You can put that in your email. This is the theme, and your customers will already start thinking about, yeah, I want some fancy wine with my dinner tonight, and I'm going to go to this specific restaurant that just emailed me about it. And all of a sudden, not only do you get a repeat customer, but your average order per customer just went up too. So it's a double. You're hitting two birds with one stone by having a website, getting those leads, and communicating with them.
Absolutely. So, and we kind of talked about this whenever we first started, before we started. Uh, there are different multiple places to start ads, and they always talked about, as far as Facebook kind of taking away more of a targeting our audience and stuff like that, as far as location and stuff like that. What kind of give me a little rundown as far as the different places to be able to uh, actually run ads, do ads, and which one kind of facilitates best for somebody wanting to hit a specific area compared to somebody that, like for instance, me or you, that can do nationwide marketing and to do it that way.
Fortunately, the major platforms like Google and Facebook still allow radius targeting, where you can set, I want 5 miles from this specific point, and just hit everyone. Now, what they're limiting is the more interest based targeting, or action activity based targeting, but they make up for it in their algorithm. The algorithm is so smart nowadays, if it's trained properly, that it'll eventually find the perfect customers for you. You just have to let it learn.
Mhm.
But where's the best place to start? I would say is Google search and Google local ads is really effective. I mean, people are especially if they're, I want to find a restaurant, or I want to find a tax provider, I want to find an attorney, whatever, in my area. They want to see how far you are from their house,
Mhm.
and so you want to be showing up in those map results, but you want to be showing up near the top of the results.
Right.
Now, other places like Yelp might make sense for you um, to start. And here's another thing: is start in one spot and see if it works, and see how you can build it out, rather than starting everywhere all at once. Don't
Mhm.
do Facebook ads and Pinterest ads and Google, YouTube. It's too much. It's
Mhm.
just too much. Start with one thing at a time, and I would recommend Google being the first place.
And SEO is that's the big reason that I started SEO, is the idea of uh, getting up to the top. They say, what is it, like 72% of the people that that want to look for a place, they end up first going to a place that's on that first page and listed. And as you all particularly pointed out, is the idea of the Google Business map. of being able to be listed there so that they actually see how far away they are, and be able to get to that top of that list, because Google, in the smart part of that, put their listing there at the very top of the page so that you could see it. So that in effect is to me is the very best place to get started out.
Right, yeah. So make sure that your Google business profile is, first of all, live so people
Mm.
can see it even if they're searching, especially if they're searching your brand name. You want all your stuff to be showing up, and if you don't have a Google business profile, you won't. But then when they're searching your industry or field, you want to be showing up. So make sure to, yeah, I agree with that actually. Start with Google business profile, and then you can start running ads to it too.
Uh, Now going into the ads, tell me a little bit about, as far as what go, let everybody know what goes into an ad, what the ad looks like, and and what it takes to actually get that set up.
Well, for a Google local ad, a lot of that information is taken from that business profile. So it's not very complicated. It's just telling the name of your business is and what you do, how to contact you. And if you have good ratings, it'll show the ratings in your ad too. And that's just a Google Ads setting that once you go into the platform, anyone can use Google Ads. You don't need to work with an agency, just do it yourself. There's really good tutorials on youtube.com that'll walk you through it. And Google Ads itself makes it easy. So don't be afraid of Google Ads. Once you get in there, you start selecting what your goals are, and Google will guide you with the next steps. Now, once you start running search specific ads, you're going to need to be more creative with your copy, your headlines, your descriptions, because you want to do everything at the same time. Introduce yourself, provide some value, overcome objections, ask for action. And so you can see what your competitors are writing and start modeling your ad based on that. Eventually, you may be ready to run display advertisement and YouTube advertisement, which takes a lot more creativity in in the design, in the YouTube ad script, in recording it, editing it. But that's once you've already done everything else. So it really only starts with text.
Mhm. Now, after you, I agree the part of being able to do your own, but and then you are start to get more of an idea of kind of expanding on that, doing it more professional with somebody like me or you. Can you tell a little bit about the idea or the benefits of, after you get that like going, of coming to somebody like me or you to be able to do stuff, of getting more reports as far as the responsiveness to it, doing something like split testing, and to be able to kind of get into where what's more effective for you. What point do you recommend that somebody would do something like that?
Well, I think that it depends on it depends on how much time and how much time does a business owner have to do this, and how much extra revenue they have to play with, and finally, how much do they like doing the advertisement? Because if they have an extra few $1,000s a month or 10,000, whatever, where they could invest that into advertising. I'm not saying spend it on advertising, because advertising is an investment. You expect to get more money than you got out of it, even with the agency fee that you're paying the agency. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense.
Mhm.
So let's say you have a little bit of extra money, things are already starting to work on Google, and you don't really have time to do more of this optimization marketing. That's a perfect time to start reaching out to agencies to start taking that off your plate. But just like we talked about with the finances, you've now put yourself into the world of advertising, in the world of Google Ads, and you know generally what is to be expected rather than being completely clueless. So running it, seeing how it works, getting your first win, and then reach out to an agency. And an agency can make a huge difference for you, a massive, massive difference for you. The same way that a professional football team in the NFL doesn't hire beginner football coaches because they just don't have the knowledge it takes to run all the plays and coach every position properly so with the right techniques and that's the same thing a good agency has is the knowledge of how to tweak the platform, how to write your copy better, how to make sure it's converting on the back end. That could 10x your marketing with their knowledge. It's agencies can really help you, but first do it yourself and then go into an agency.
And to echo that, especially of what you said previously, whenever we go to run reports on your ads to be able to see what's being effective and stuff, that's especially where it becomes really important to do one advertising path at a time, so that we can tell, okay, well, you suddenly threw a bunch of stuff out here. How do we kind of track? Suddenly there's a whole other bunch of business going to your website or to you at that point, and then we don't know which one's really working best for you.
Attribution is extremely difficult. Knowing exactly the path that your customers took to end up buying from you is especially when you have a lot of different traffic sources. It's a tough problem and no one has really found the perfect answer to it. Of course, there's Google Analytics. There's tools like Northbeam and Hyros and various other tracking tools that try to help with this. But ultimately, what do we want from marketing? We want our businesses to grow and our margins to at least be stable. That way, our revenues are going up, our profits are going up, and we can keep spending more in marketing as long as our revenues and profits are going up. So that's ultimately what we're looking for. And then getting super granular in the data is a lot of fun for the data nerd people, but um, I mean that's just part of the marketing process.
And with the advent of the way that things have changed in advertising now, um, used to, whenever before the internet came around, you always thought of it was hard to get a commercial and it cost a lot of money to do that, and you thought that only big companies ever did an actual commercial, or at least in my opinion, that's the way I saw it as a kid. Uh, Now, with the advent of, then it kind of seemed to go to mostly the internet as far as Google, Facebook, uh, you know, some of those types of things. Now you start to see things of Hulu, Snapchat, uh, some of the bigger streaming places starting to kind of uh, reach out to smaller businesses and stuff to do advertising with that. How do you kind of see the advent of that coming around and the effectiveness of those for a business to go into?
Actually, with Google YouTube ads, we have certain placements that go on smart TVs already. So we can already start seeing previews of how that will work with Hulu and other streaming platforms. And I think they're going to figure out these platforms how to actually get direct response out of you rather than it being just I'm looking and seeing a commercial, it's passing by, I'm probably going to forget about it if I don't take action right now. But because everyone who watches TV nowadays also is on their phone,
Hmm.
most commercials will have the QR code on them, or just through your TV remote, you're going to be able to take that action. So I'm fully on board with Hulu ads, these the TV programmatic ads, the company, the Trade Desk, which is really big into this. Fully believe in them. This is, I think, a great new traffic source that's going to work.
Absolutely. Uh, so, in general, what I don't want to make this the logical idea of going, and we've talked about this as far as going from smaller to bigger to making sure that you get, your ROI, your return on in the investment that you're making. Um, do you have, whenever you're working with a customer, um, what do you, what are the, I guess, the guide points or the points that you recommend to them as far as graduating from one to the next, if that makes
One to
sense?
the next.
As far
What
as
exactly?
graduating from doing their own Google to an agency, a smaller one, compared to more of a, an actual video advertisement, I guess you could say, in that. And what parts do you kind of recommend that they kind of hit as far as with the pricing of the advertisements, for to kind of graduate from one to the more expensive ones?
Well, I think that most businesses, especially local businesses, don't need to get a major agency for them. There's agencies that specialize specifically in your local business. They know how to do it as for a local market, and they know the right type of ads to run for it. They even have website templates prepared for you, email automation, all this stuff. So there's agencies out there that work specifically with you, and once you find one that you like, you can stick with them forever.
Hmm.
It's not like you need to jump from one to another. And in terms of cost, I mean, typically, if you're already spending a few $1,000s a month on advertisement, you can get with one of these agencies who that might cost one or 2,000 or more dollars per month for local businesses, but the increase that they'll get you is enough to pay for itself and more. It's hard to know exactly when you should make that switch, but um, it doesn't hurt to start reaching out and taking phone calls and having discussions and seeing if there might be a right fit, asking for an agency to do an audit on your account. And then you'll have more information to make a more informed decision.
Right. And I think that the biggest thing for me is the point of there's, especially starting out with a small town, for depending on your reach that you're kind of looking forward to and what type of business you're in, especially for a smaller town, to me, there's going to be you only have a certain area, that customers are going to be coming to you, especially if you're a brick and mortar, to where you're going to have that balance of, okay, now I'm starting to see a negative after I start to spend more on it, to kind of give you that information of, okay, now let's kind of possibly go into different ways, or not necessarily ways, but the ways of changing your advertisement to kind of hit a different target, but in the same
Well,
spot with the
yeah,
same price compared to.
right. And that brings a good point up is that you actually need to know your internal business numbers before you start running advertisement. If you don't know how much you can pay for a new customer without losing money, also known as your break-even cost,
Mhm.
then you can't run ads because you don't know if you're making money or not. So you need to find out, first of all, how much money on average you get from a customer over a certain period of time. Now, there's businesses out there that are happy to break even on their marketing expenses after 30 days. And after 30 days, everything that they earn from that customer is profit.
Mhm.
Some businesses can wait a year, especially if they're bigger with longer sales cycles. But typically for local business, it's going to be you're going to want to probably do it in 30 to 90 days. So you need to know in 90 days, how much do I earn from a new customer? And you have two goals. From once you know that number, is how do we make that number higher?
Mhm.
Number one, if I earn $100 per new customer every nine in the first 90 days, how do we make it $200? What can we do? And the second thing is, how do I get more customers in the door for less than $100?
Mhm.
And that's the way to grow a business.
The idea of how much it costs, making sure you know how much it costs to gain a new customer, and then how much it is to keep that new customer, especially with, the idea of email marketing. I can't hit that more. I think that the idea of you telling it too is the idea of, uh, it's really important to help keep those customers coming around. You know, of course, along with good customer service, and a good product that you're selling.
Absolutely. And finding new customers, especially in a small town, is actually kind of hard. So take care of the ones that you already have.
Hmm.
And by the way, when you provide a good service and people are happy to pay you money, they'll be happy to pay you even more money for more
Absolutely.
services. Just offer them. Offer them to your existing customers. They already not like you. They already trust you. Why not offer them more? They want more. We all want more of the good things. Think about the products or services that you love already. Even, for example, the biggest company in the world, Apple, if they came out with Apple Car, a lot of people would probably buy
Hmm.
it because they trust it so much. And same thing with you, even as a restaurant. People like you, but what can you, maybe you're only open for breakfast, or maybe you only have dishes for under $20. Well, what if you start offering $50 uh, dishes maybe once a week or something to get people, the same customers that already like you, back in the door and spending more with you.
Hmm. And we talk about trust, and this is definitely one of those. And it's, excuse me, but it's awesome to have you on here to kind of echo. It's kind of like a kid. You keep telling your kid a certain thing, and they don't believe you. But as soon as somebody else tells you that same thing, it's like,
Right.
oh well, Dad, why didn't you ever tell me this? So it's great to have somebody else echo these ideas. And one of the things that I always try to hit on people very first, especially somebody first starting out, how important do you see it that whenever they create an email address, to have it with their own domain in the email address rather than using Gmail or something like Yahoo or something like that? And the idea that it's really cheap and easy to set up.
It is, and it really makes a big difference in the framing of your offer. When anytime any conversation that you have, especially with a customer, you're presenting a certain frame. Are you casual or are you professional? Are
Hmm.
you expensive or cheap? Are you reliable or you can't be trusted? And every piece of what you put out there, whether it's your copy, the domain that you're using in your email, the quality of the images that you're posting, frames that for the customer in their subconscious.
Hmm.
So you have to also decide before you come out is what is the frame that I want for my audience. And by the way, not every audience needs professional framing, and they don't need the most high level written text that's difficult to understand. That's not what they want. You have to give the audience what they're actually craving and frame yourself in a way that's going to position you as the authority in your niche.
Hmm. And to me, it kind of it changes into the idea of I've had financial people on the channel before, as as far as the changing from a sole proprietorship to an LLC to S corp, all that good stuff. And I think that one of the things that really ties in with this is the idea of, are you doing this as a hobby or are you a business? If you're
Mhm.
doing it as a hobby and you want to make money at it, then fine. Use your business name at gmail.com. But if you're really trying to establish your brand and be that business, the first step that I usually end up trying to say is it's so easy, if you're doing it through Microsoft or however, and relatively cheap, is to make sure that you have a specialized name at with your domain name with your website. And you have that ability as soon as you buy your domain for your website.
That's right. And the biggest difference between a hustler, an entrepreneur type of person, and an actual business is how you present yourself. I
Hmm.
mean, that's if you want to be a middleman connection type of guy who's texting people to bring them together, and okay, use your personal email, but that's not a business. No one will ever want to buy your business because it's not a business. It's
Hmm.
just a job that you have that happens to not be a traditional job. So
Yeah.
it's better to call it just a job. A
Mm.
business is something that is established, can run on its own, and is an asset. So how would you treat an asset for it to grow in value? You would take care of it just like you take care of a house for it to keep its value and even grow in value. Same with your business. And a fresh coat of paint doesn't hurt your property value, and having a business email with a real domain certainly does not hurt your business value.
And these are all things, we think of marketing as the idea of doing ads, of, getting your voice out there. But this is a key aspect of marketing yourself. It is the simple things as far as how people end up looking at your business, in my opinion. So with that, there's a lot of stuff, that great stuff in this video. So hopefully, if everybody likes it, make sure you subscribe, tell everybody about it that might, whether they're skiing, and if there's a certain thing that you kind of hit at, if you disagree with me, put it down in the comments. Let us know. So we've gone over a lot of stuff. What have we missed as we're coming to the end of the interview? Tell me, is there anything else that on the marketing side that you think the listeners, and this could be small business owners, large business owners, what have I not asked you?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway that maybe we haven't fully made clear is that it's not really that hard. And the way that you beat your competitors out is by just doing the work. You don't have to do all the work. You don't have to post every hour on the hour on every single platform. You don't have to use AI and like you by just doing so, all of we okay, let me put it this way. All of that, what it typically does is put us in action paralysis where we don't do anything. But by just taking a step, getting a little momentum, and taking a step every single day, you will be well head and shoulders above your competition. So just doing the thing, it's not hard. It just requires a deliberate decision to actually go and do it. And that's the biggest difference. The biggest people on social media, they just were posting their podcast or their tutorials every single day. And the biggest businesses, even locally speaking, what they do is just they're presenting their message all the time, and compared to other businesses that just aren't doing it. They just are too lazy to do it. So that's the difference, is just doing it.
And that's great. And I like the idea of kind of, we kind of hit on it as far as with the finances of you kind of want to learn what's going on so you don't get burned. That's why we especially talk about, do your own taxes, learn a little bit about what it is and entails, so that you know what you're hiring somebody else to do when you get to that point. It's the same way with ads, in my opinion, is it doesn't cost much, and it's not really hard to create your own and educate yourself about it. But then you graduate to the point of, okay, now I'm ready to move on to something else. I want to have somebody else that does it, that can build off of what I've done, but I have an idea of what they're doing, if that makes sense. So perfect
Absolutely.
information, I think, with that. So thanks for all the information. Tell us how viewers and listeners can contact you, what you have going on with your business, and how they can support you.
Well, the website is biglifemarketing.com, and we primarily work with businesses that are advertising nationwide or even worldwide. And especially if you have an offer that's already working well on Facebook ads and you want to bring in Google and YouTube ads and make that your number one traffic source, we're the perfect agency for that specific task, is to really just grow your Google and your YouTube. So biglifemarketing.com, the best place to reach us. You can check out our testimonials there, or a bunch of our case studies, And for me personally, the social media that I like to use is Twitter. So you can find me on Twitter. Just search my name, Dmitri Smirnov, and I share Google Ads tips from time to time, some other things. And that's a good way of DMing me there, just personally getting into a conversation that way.
Awesome.
So those are the best ways to reach me.
And I hope I kind of mentioned this whenever I first contacted you. I'd love to have you on for one of our deep dive sessions to for you to get onto something when it works with your schedule to just kind of uh, give a little deep dive step by step of whatever it is that you want to do. You know, the best thing that you think that they would go for. Uh, the other thing that I'd like to hit on is the idea, and I do this to build a business community. If I do business ads in my business, Dimitri does ads with his business. We could somewhat be competitors in some point, but I want to share his business so people could go to him, but me and him can share information and help you either one, whichever one you hit. That's why I think that it's the biggest to have a business community. Don't be afraid to talk to other business owners about their business and the things that work for them. Leave comments, let it kind of have that conversation of what works for you, what doesn't work for you. Help the person that's coming up right behind you. So, with that, anything else that you'd like to add?
I feel good about what we covered. And that
Awesome.
was a lot of fun.
Well, hopefully everybody adds some comments and we'll get you on for a deep dive. But with that, again, everybody, I would love to build this channel bigger. Get on the algorithm where people start to see it a little bit more. Uh, Share it with everybody. If you like this information, please like, subscribe, share it, and let's get this thing going where everybody kind of gets the information that they need to grow their business. Because having a job sucks. Let's kind of admit that it's hard to depend on somebody else. It's great to be an entrepreneur, to grow your own business and to live the life that you want. So with that, thank you, Dimitri. Thank you so much for your time. Hopefully we can touch base again some other time with some more things. And with that, thank you everybody for showing up. Thank you, and go ahead and grow your business. Thanks.